Hello, hello, hello. Thank you once again for joining Crystal Henry TV. I am on the final session number 7 with Professor Gaynell Gaynor. She has gone through all of her years of education and all of her contributions as a professor at St. Philip's College in San Antonio, Texas, and her years of actual active duty as an instructor, and then her years after as a retired consultant. So now we are entering in the years after, when she became a professional volunteer in her years of retirement. So let's welcome back Professor Gaynell Gaynor.
Good evening. And again, it's a pleasure to be here to share my story. And I just simply am humbled by going through all the events of my life and thinking about the milestones with God's help that I've been able to accomplish with not only God's help, but my family and my friends and associates. And I'd like to identify some of those during this conclusion. Thank you.
Okay, well, we want to start with Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Can you please just give us some highlights of your contributions to the community as you served through your sorority?
Thank you. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority, Alpha Pi Zeta chapter, the chapter in San Antonio, is the Greek organization that I chose, which falls under the Panhellenic Council or the Divine Nine. And I've been a Zeta for 61 years. I joined Zeta in a city chapter here in town because I attended University of Incarnate Word, which was an all-girls school during the time I was attending college. And in that, I was an African American. There were no members of the Zeta Phi Beta sorority on campus. And so I did join Delta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta sorority, which was a city chapter. And that's really when I started doing my community service work.
Excellent. So can you give us some examples of the community service work that you spearheaded and founded through your sorority?
Yes, as a mature woman and having 2 daughters, Tiffany, my deceased daughter, I lost her in 2014, and you, Crystal, the elder of the 2. I saw fit when you all were teenagers, realizing that you were raised during the 60s. You can attest to the fact that there were not many activities that young African American women and women of color in particular that could engage in. And so I wanted to be the front runner in deciding what type of activities you all were going to be engaged in. So I was able to organize 2 youth affiliates. You being the older girl at the time, in 1982, 83, I was able to organize the Arcanet group, which is for young girls in high school. And so you were able to be active during that 5-year period. And of course, with me being the initiator of the San Antonio affiliate, you were the president at that time. And so I was just happy to say that not only were you all doing service work by not only doing crafts, going to nursing homes, but you were able to go to museums. I planned trips where you all were able to engage in educational opportunities as well as doing things that were fun and service activities during different holidays, not just to include Juneteenth, but there were activities that you engaged in when you had breaks during school year.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
remember having my debut Yes.
Yes, you were the you were the second runner-up, I should say, which was like Princess for the Zeta Cotillion. And yes, you were able to make your debut at what we call the La Villita
Yes.
in downtown San Antonio. You're absolutely correct.
Yes.
The AMICAT group was the girls that were in middle school. And so because Tiffany was 9.5, almost 10 years younger, when she got old enough to engage in youth activities, I was able to organize the AMICAT Youth Auxiliary Group. Um, there were very few members of my chapter who had young girls that would fall into the Pearlettes group. So I wasn't fortunate enough to gather enough youth to be able to activate that group. So we wound up really putting our time in. And I remember with your group, I want to recognize the late triumphant Sarah Margaret Johnson, and she lived on the east side of town, not too far from Commerce and Second Baptist Church as a reference, and we met at her home. So that's why we were able, because many of the students in high school did not have transportation. And even though I lived Northeast, we were able to have an active group of young women that were engaged in productive activities. And I'm proud of that. What
Thank
else did I do in the 80s?
thank
I
you so
worked
much. Thank you so much. So yes, after the Amikets and the Arcanets, that's two amazing, phenomenal young organizations that were um, the the sister organizations to Zeta Phi Beta sorority. I appreciated being a part of the Arcanets, and Tiffany was a part of the Amikets as well as the Arcanets. Now, I
yes,
understand that you were instrumental, not by yourself, but with the other, with several other
Sarah.
sorors. You
Yeah.
began the Alamo track meet. So, can you tell us about that? How that began?
Yes. At the time, I was president of Alpha Pi Zeta chapter, and the person that was in charge of programs at the time was Mrs. Verdi Young, Zeta Verdi Young. And she and I did go down to the Fiesta Commission and talked with the officers at that time and presented our justification, our mission statement, if you will, for why we thought it was worthwhile to organize and start and host the first Zeta Fiesta track meet. And at that time, we called it the Zeta Fiesta Intra-City Track Meet. And there were not really many activities for elementary and middle school boys and girls to participate in. And another Sarah, her name is Audra Bibbs. She actually brought the idea of the track meet to the chapter. We discussed and deliberated over it and decided it was a great idea. So the idea was sent to the Fiesta track meet, and Mrs. Young and myself presented it and got it approved.
Excellent. That is so wonderful. Now, are there any other contributions? Because over 60 years of
So
service in the sorority is phenomenal. So I know you've done,
61 years this year.
yes, that is amazing. So can you tell us anything else, any other memorable moments?
Yes, and at St. Philip's College, while I was gainfully employed there, um, Mrs. Guilford and I were both educators and Zetas at the time. And we were the ones that really were working together to try to see if we could come up with a scholarship. And so she asked me to take the lead on writing up the information. And so we were able to have a Mabel Booker Lowry scholarship established at St. Philip's College for St. Philip's students. And so
Excellent.
we've been doing that successfully. Alpha Pi Zeta chapter can boast that it's been over 20 years that we've been engaged with this scholarship. And it's primarily designed for students of African descent
Yes.
and
So
African American descent.
yes. So you were able to start a scholarship. You have had the track meet that started and is still going on. It went on up until the pandemic, but it will go on
Yes,
after the pandemic is over. So that is
God willing, yes, we do
yes, yes,
anticipate that it will
that is
pick up
excellent
next year.
too. And so I want to touch another area of your volunteerhood, and that's with the NAACP.
Yes, I'm a life member of the NAACP, and because of the pandemic and because of what happened around Memorial Weekend with George Floyd, I just felt like I needed to get involved. And so I joined, if you will. Um, President Hudspeth was asking for volunteers to serve on a criminal justice committee. And so I was one of the individuals at the time that volunteered. I'm not the chair. We have Beverly Johnson who's chairing now, but I'm a member and I'm happy to be a part of that committee. Criminal
Yes,
justice, yes.
yes, that is excellent. That is so amazing. You know, there's one thing that I forgot to ask you. And so it was such a proud moment in America for many Blacknificent Americans when Obama was elected. And there was something that you did. You were tireless. I'm going to let you tell your story. So go ahead and tell us about your volunteering during the time of voting for our president that was elected twice.
Yes. So in 2007, up until President Obama was elected, I saw him speak during the Democratic convention, but I also listened to what he had to say on the Oprah show. And I was so moved by his ideas and progressive ideas. And it wasn't just because he was of African American descent, but
Mm-hmm.
I needed a knee replacement around that time. And I had no idea I was going to get caught up in working as a campaign manager with him. But I did go down to the convention, to the site on B Avenue where we were to make calls and, give out posters and campaign paraphernalia. But I also invited people in my home twice where they could come in and make calls to different people around not only in Texas, but beyond. And I'm very thrilled to say that I played a small part. I could not go door to door and drop any flyers, but I was able to have people in my home to call. And I'm very proud of the fact that President Obama was able to serve 2 terms.
Yes,
Thank you
that is
for reminding
amazing
me.
because I remember you saying I'm in pain, but we're on the phone, we're making calls.
Right.
I remember you saying I'm sitting in a chair, but I'm passing out the information. I'm telling people you need to come vote. So I thought that was just so phenomenal. Even though you were in pain, you still volunteered and did your part as a proud American. Um,
Yes.
Another thing that is phenomenal that some people do not know, you were a part you had a part in a movie, in a documentary movie. So why don't you tell us about that?
Oh, yes. So in 2018, um, that is the year in which San Antonio was celebrating 300 years of existence as we know it today.
Hmm.
And there were individuals that were trying to contact me to ask me what I consider being a part of the movie Walk on the River. Mr. Mayotte did contact me, and his wife Barbara, who at the time was going to Incarnate Word. That might be where she heard my name. That's one of my alma maters.
Yes.
And so in 2018, I was asked, and they did film us. I have a little segment of about 5 minutes or so in the movie Walk on the River. And I feel that very privileged to have made a significant contribution in the realm of education, in radiologic technology, imaging in general, for them to feel like that, I was a person worthy of being depicted in this documentary movie.
Excellent. Excellent. Walk on the River.
Walk
Uh,
on the River.
Walk on the River 2018. When we talked about your interview, I remember just being amazed at how they were so surprised at your age. They were surprised that you were speaking extemporaneously, without
Yeah.
paper, without pen. You were just telling them the facts of your history as you knew it, and they were just mesmerized. And so they filmed you for over an hour, even though only 5 minutes got into that movie.
Yes.
You
One
were,
of the things, might I say, was entered into that. There were
mhm,
two items.
mhm,
One was highlighting the fact that I was the catalyst for St. Philip's College being uh, recognized and designated as HBCU.
yes,
And the second item was dealing with Miss Maddie Landry.
yes,
This phenomenal woman um, actually started her own Camp Founder Girls organization because she tried to um, have youth be a part of a Campfire Girls organization,
yes,
which was white,
yes,
and they would not allow her to have her group be formed under that organization. And so she was able to acquire donations, and with the help of a physician, he's deceased, a physician and other people in the community, she was able to start and was founder of the Camp Founders Girls. She has a Camp Founders Girls organization. And we went to, and I was one of those young ladies that joined between 1950 and 1958 when I graduated from high school. And in 2019, I worked with a young man by the name of Alex, and he and I worked together with a couple of young ladies to reactivate and give rebirth to the Camp Founder Girls organization. They have developed a new logo, and they had their first camp experience last summer before last in 2019.
okay, okay, excellent.
So
So
that,
you were
that I
still
was very,
volunteering. It
very
is 2021 and you are still volunteering, still just touching and making an impact in young people's lives, in young adult lives, in older people's lives. You are still making an impact for the kingdom of God, and you are allowing people to know that they are important. So, those are just some
true.
amazing contributions for the Camp Founder Girls, reactivating it. That is phenomenal. Now, because you did that, you were nominated. Why don't you tell us about the nomination? Well, you were nominated.
Okay, well, the organization, which is a renowned national organization, the Top Ladies of Distinction, um, after looking at the movie and um, seeing my accomplishments as an African American woman in San Antonio, especially between 2018 and 2019. They were able to, they thought that my accomplishments were noteworthy as a community college professor, and the fact that I was given the title of Professor Emeritus. They thought that they would recognize me as an educator in that realm at the community college level. So I was recognized in 2019. And when I looked at my materials that I had packed away during last year during the pandemic, I realized that I was, this is my second recognition because
Yes.
my first recognition came about in in 1984 when I organized the two Zeta youth affiliate groups, the
Hmm.
young girls, Arcanettes and the Amicettes, and when I co-founded the Zeta Fiesta Track Meet. So I do have two plaques that recognize me, and I feel very humbled by that
Yes,
recognition.
you are a lady of distinction. You are a powerhouse. You have volunteered all the way up to 2021. You are volunteering. Tell us about the committees that you are on currently.
Currently, I'm on the NAACP Criminal Justice Committee, and of course, this month we're planning a roundtable, collective bargaining. Um, it's going to be covering, I'm not going to give you the details because we're still in the planning, but
Yes.
I would like to say that I'm currently involved with St. Paul United Methodist Church, of which I've been an active member for over 25 years. And I'm on the SPPRC committee, which is the Staff Pastor Parish Relations Committee. It's like a human resource committee where we help to lead and manage affairs of the staff at the church, that's paid staff and volunteer staff. And again, this is all volunteer work. And,
Well, excellent, excellent, excellent.
and I'm chairperson of the Mabel Booker Lowry Scholarship, like that I was telling you about earlier. I'm currently chairing that, and I'm also advisor and chair for Alpha Pi Zeta chapter, and that is a
Excellent,
privilege.
excellent. So you are just um, a a retirement, a non-retirement junkie. You you have been volunteering up a storm. So without further ado, I want to give you an opportunity to say thanks to those that you would like to thank, shout out to whoever you want to shout out to, and give your last honors and tributes to before we complete this final session, session 7.
First of all, I want to thank my husband, Irvin Gaynell, because without him, I would not have, as a woman, been able to accomplish as much as I was able to accomplish all these years of my professional life and my married life. So I want to say that. And then out of this beautiful marriage of 55 years now, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share my story to not only this community, but all of those that are on the other side of this screen that found the time to come and listen. And, you know, hopefully I've inspired someone. And I also want to say that my daughter, Tiffany, that passed on 6 years ago, I know that she's probably looking down and saying, Mom, thank you for remembering that, you know, you felt like I've inspired you. Yes, she was an inspiration. She challenged me many times, and she started her own business, um, floral, and she was a wedding planner, and she died at the top of her career and left me with two wonderful grandsons, three grandsons, all told. Your son Jadai and Donovan and Thailand, Donovan being the elder of the three,
Yes.
and in the San Antonio area, and Thailand being 16 now. And I just want to say, all of you have been a great inspiration to me, making me strive to be the best grandmother and mother that I can be. And I want to thank my sorority for being so supportive all these years in the different positions that I've held as president um, for 4 or 5 times with the chapter. You all have pulled out all of my creativity, Zetas. I want to thank my pastor, Pastor Emerson, and Pastor Padilla of St. Paul United Methodist Church. I want to thank all of the friends that I've had through the years. There's a special lady in New Orleans that I still call, that we were friends from childhood. Her name is Ivantha Thomas. And I wanted to thank Miss Harriet Kimbrough, who's been an inspiration to me because she was supportive of me. I have a special needs grandson, and we have so many things in common. And she has been my guardian angel. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I know there are others that I can thank, but if I don't recognize you, please blame it on my head and not my heart.
Well, thank you so much for your phenomenal history, your phenomenal volunteer history over the years. It has just, this whole series has been just a great impact. So without further ado, we will definitely bid you good night. We will see you later because we may come back with another part because you may do something else phenomenal before you leave Earth. So again,
Thank you
thank
so
you so
much.
much, Professor Gaynell Gaynor, Dove Sarah, Dove Gaynell Gaynor. Thank you for all your contributions. Thank you for your words of wisdom and your impact that you have made in San Antonio and throughout Texas and throughout the world for all of those students that came from other countries. You have made an impact all over the world. And
And
we,
thank you again and again. Without God's help and guidance, I would not have been able to accomplish any of these things that we've spoken about over these sessions. And
yes,
thank you again for the opportunity to
yes.
share.
And I thank God for blessing us to be able to put this together and put this out into the atmosphere where it will make an impact. So God bless you. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you. Remember to subscribe, to like, and to share. Get this history out so others can be inspired. Thank you for coming. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for joining Crystal Henry TV.
Thank you.